of the greatest podcast ever. It's a little different this time. It's just going to be me and Rattle, but I know it's still going to be a ton of fun. So Ryan won't be joining us on this podcast. I know a lot of people out there are disappointed in that fact, but it is what it is. Everybody out there, let me know how the volume is on both myself and Rattle. But I don't have to introduce this other handsome devil on my screen. But Rattle, I got to ask you, man, how you been? Are you full-time Pokemon at this point? Full-time content creator?
Yes. I mean, a lot of it is like just kind of spread out throughout that stuff, but yes. People are like, "Oh my God, I can't YouTube money. YouTube isn't that much money." So other stuff is I guess helping that out.
Yeah. But well, so I have seen you for well, I seen you recently, but for the first time, I saw you at the Charlotte Collecticon. How was that whole experience for you?
Charlotte was good. I don't think it necessarily mattered where it was or what event it was. I think it was more just the fact that there was a bunch of friends, bunch of people that I've talked to online, hanging out in person. I'm meeting Rusty, and going to Rusty's was like a bonus. I guess that had to be in Charlotte. That was like the only, I guess the only thing that brought us there. But the event itself, it was cool. It's always cool to see like a bunch of tables, a bunch of Pokemon cards for sale, all in one spot. But at the same time, I think we had more fun cruising around town with the scooters and going to too many ramen places that I basically didn't want to eat ramen for a little while afterwards. But
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to give some shout outs to people in the chat with who joined the channel. PokeSol, Devin Sanders, Never Cold, number one mod in the game, and number one mod in the game gifted 40 memberships. You're a real one, Drew. PokeKid, and then Amy V13 dropping the 10 membership. We appreciate you. But yeah, man, Charlotte was something special, and being at Rusty's house was awesome, and seeing all those uncut sheets and stuff. It really it humbles you hardcore. I would say
yeah,
is like a good
oh
word.
yeah.
Like no matter how
I mean,
good you think your collection really is, there's somebody out there with a crazier collection.
yeah, for sure. You might have to either turn you up or turn me down. Maybe go like the your desktop audio capture
Yeah, I could turn
or
you up.
whatever's capturing me. Turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe give it like a 70%, 60%, or whatever it was.
All right. Let us know if this is better. This is 70%. But
It sounds like I'm double the volume that you are.
okay. But yeah, man, it was pretty cool to be there and just seeing all his collection, and he's such a good host too. I think he's really
Mm.
like a good point for this whole community as a whole. And speaking of Rusty being a good point, since I've talked to you last and since the podcast has been out, you've done some wild stuff. That whole Blake Martinez stuff with Whatnot, and then the whole Sean Basket stuff. And I'm just gonna give a blanket statement to everybody out there. Anything that is said on this channel by me is strictly my opinion. Anything that is said by Rattle is strictly his opinion. It's a lot of commentary. Rattle is saying Rattle's going to throw up his disclaimer. I'm just going to let you know that all the information I'm getting is secondhand, mainly through the other guy on the screen. So just keep that in the back of your minds that everything is allegedly. But let's start with the Whatnot stuff. So real quick, Cyril Lewis, appreciate the super chat, but I talked to Blasty. Blasty came on for an interview, and I said to Blasty, Whatnot is not a publicly traded company, and Whatnot had like a crazy amount of seed money. I've heard rumors as much as like $500 million worth of seed money just to like get themselves started and get themselves going. And if Whatnot was ever to be put onto the New York Stock Exchange, that company's probably going to be valued in the billions of dollars. Do you realize like how big of an impact you might have had on like the valuation of Whatnot as a whole? Because now, if you're just a retail trader looking to buy a stock and you see, oh, this new IPO for Whatnot comes up, and they search in Whatnot, and they're going to get 100 news articles about how Whatnot is this big, huge scam platform. Do you ever stop to think about that, or is that not really something you ever consider?
I mean, I don't know. Like the whole thing is pretty wild. Like just adding up the amount of just the that the monetary value that they refunded, they didn't refund everyone. They should have. They claimed that they refunded everyone in their initial tweet or announcement or whatever, which was full bullshit. And media and everyone who covered it kind of, ate that up because it looked like, oh, something bad happened, but they fixed it right away when they didn't. They still haven't fixed it. They still haven't refunded a ton of the people that needed refunds or should have been refunded because they had somebody on their platform that they agreed with their research that he should be removed from the platform. And this wasn't like a light decision on their part. Like it was their main guy.
Yeah.
It was the face of the platform essentially.
Yeah,
it was their biggest streamer
in the
on the trading card sector.
Yeah, he was in all their ads.
He had employees, he was in all their ads and everything else. So it's like they admitted to fault, or they admitted to the fact that like they did the research. Like I can only do so much research. I can only see so many things from the outside.
Yeah.
They have access to way more information than I do. Way more video footage. A lot of that is hidden, so I mean, all the reports that were probably filed under Blake. But at the same time, they were probably just trying to like minimize damage, and I mean, it's sad that not everyone got refunded, but it was still an immense amount of refunds that did go out, which is it's better than nothing. It's kind of
Yeah. No, I mean, when I was watching all that go down, I was pretty wild. I was pretty bummed out that we didn't have the podcast at the time, so I couldn't ask you those questions. But it seemed like every day you were uncovering new stuff. How much time you put into? I mean, that's got to be hours, and it's not just you, right? It's a combination of a ton of people put in the effort in.
Yeah. No, I had so much help with that, and again, like I'm only one person, so a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, Rattle, you haven't even covered this guy that scammed, probably," and it was like. I only have so much time to personally look through footage or look through anything like that. So like, if someone catches something and has the ability to record it, has the ability to like piece it together, like that's always appreciated. Like a lot of the time, I don't want to mention who it is, depending on who it's about and everything like that. But I do appreciate anyone and everyone that sends me that information or helps me comb through footage. I've had a few people that said like, "Hey, I have some spare time. I want to look through something. What can I do to help?" And so I'll send them off on looking at something. And usually there's got to be something there to begin with. I don't want someone to blindly look through footage of someone that I just don't like or whatever. It's got to be, if someone's caught doing something the same way that Snee was caught with the pack swap, then it's like, okay, so like this person did it. How many times did they do it before that until they got caught finally?
What's the update on those people, like on a Snee? What is she up to? Is she kind of out of the hobby at this point, or is she still trying to...
I think so. I think she was going back to school, which is, I don't know if there was any kind of repercussions or anything to do with that, because she had like a scholarship for soccer or something.
Do you know how much, like any kind of like ballpark of how much money was refunded? Did Whatnot ever announce that or no?
It's a good question. I don't know if I think I had some kind of total. Like it could have been close to $1 million.
$1 million.
Maybe. Like I'm sure like the total amount that was ever taken in from them was multiple millions. I mean, that's not taken into consider like expenses or anything like that, but the amount that they would have to blanket refund, which is in my opinion what they should have had to do, but
so I lowered your volume down to 50 and
see if that's all right. Guys, how am I too loud? Am I still too loud?
Yeah, and I'll crank mine up to like 325. But no, man, when I was watching all that just go down, it was amazing because originally I honestly thought you were going to be able to turn that into a 69-part series, because every day it just seemed like new information was coming out, and I didn't realize, like, you really shed a light on his business too. I didn't realize how much employees Blake Spriggs had. I didn't realize like the dollar amount they were actually moving. I know they had those like headlines of he made $11 million, but I don't think the numbers were really that close. But
no, I don't think it was that much.
Yeah.
I mean, that was also taking into consideration that he sold like an Illustrator for, I don't remember the exact number or what it was exactly, but I think it was like 600,000. So like a big chunk of whatever he was doing was like an Illustrator sale. How much did he pay for it? How much did he sell it for? And that was probably more like sales, maybe.
So shout out to Billy for becoming a channel member and gifting 5 memberships. But you just mentioned Illustrator Pikachu's. What's the deal with Illustrator Pikachu's right now? Why are we seeing?
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
don't know where they're
we're not
coming from.
seeing a
I
couple
don't know if
anymore.
it's like
Or
if
rather,
it's a PKOno nonsense that's going on with extra copies and they're just kind of coming out.
but why
But
did
it
it
seems like
take
I don't know how
25
many there
years?
are. And I don't know if anyone knows how many there are at
Well,
this point in time.
it's taken 25 years, but we're seeing now 4 year more than 4. Real quick, the number 1 mod for the gifted subs and for Catch 'em All collectibles. We appreciate both of you guys. But and Cyril Lewis for joining. But I mean, how many can there be? I mean, I remember like back in the day when people used to talk about like 6 of them could exist, 8 of them could exist, and then everybody like wound up on that number, the magic number of 39.
Yeah.
And we're not. I mean, we're gonna blow
But
past 39. And the
I
crazy
wouldn't be
thing about
surprised if it doubles that. But like also at the same time, like now we got to start like tracking them based on hollow foil pattern and everything else because CGC apparently just magically has another one that is the same copy that was there before. So like regrades,
yeah, but
cross grades. I don't know. I don't know. Like you would think that a lot of that stuff, and it's probably by design that they don't want to do it. But we were talking about this in the voice chat or the voice and video chat in the Discord earlier. For them to just like be able to track who had it. I think it was Josh that said it. My apologies if it wasn't Josh, but I think Josh said it, where they would have like the who it came from, like who was awarded this trophy, who was awarded this, and that was it. That like if it didn't have that, it was known as an extra copy. But I mean, if you own the extra copies, you don't want to be known as the extra copy guy.
yeah,
So I think a lot of like why that stuff is like secretive, why the transparency isn't there, is the fact that like you have weird stuff like that going on. Maybe you have a 9.5 that gets turned into a 10, and you bought it from someone as a 9.5, and you didn't want anyone to know that that was the same one that got crossed to a 10
yeah.
with the
So
grading changes that you did or did not know about beforehand.
yeah, so you're talking about your video you made earlier today, talking about Sean Bassett. And again,
Yeah.
all the stuff that we're gonna say, most of my information comes from you. I don't really know any of the information besides your videos. But do you think, like in your opinion, that that was a 9.5 and that CGC gave him a new cert number? When why would
Yeah,
they?
so
And
it
if
was
that
the
was the
one that
case,
they
why
like
would
they
they do that?
advertise on on their platform.
But why
It's the
do
same
that?
one. It's got the same hollow pattern as the one that Sean had.
I don't understand like the point of it though. Like why run so much defense? Because that's what, in my opinion, it feels like. It's just a ton of defense that CGC is running.
I don't know. So I don't know what the if that was just like a cool novelty thing to change it into like 7.7s,
Gotcha.
or if it was like, but it's weird to do that for someone that's going to be selling it right away anyway.
Yeah, because it
Like if
doesn't.
it's something that they're keeping in their own collection and they want to have the cool sevens on there, like okay, I get it. You want to put your name on the back. You want to have like a thumbprint of your ball sack on the back, like to signify that it was your card at one point in time. Like I get that. It's like Chumley's break or like any of that nonsense that they put on the labels, personalization or whatever. But
Yeah, it
I don't
just
know. I don't understand their
doesn't feel
content.
necessary.
It blows me away that their content is so formulated on like hiding the truth and hiding who's submitting the cards, who owns the cards. It's like congratulations, and it's multiple times now with the radar stuff, like with the Mr. Fuji stuff, where it's not even their card.
Yeah, that
They're just
everybody's
on there
talking
to
about
like
Rattle
pretend
or
that it's their card.
yeah, everyone's talking about Radar. Like, oh, I can't believe Radar graded this card, and he did it as a middleman. He wasn't. It wasn't his
Yeah,
card. He didn't source that card.
but why would CGC not just? Maybe it makes it slightly less sexy, but at least you're being transparent. You're being honest, and it is what it is. You don't have to say who owns the card or who is it going to.
Yeah,
If they want to remain like private or anything like that, like why make it out to be like a show that it's this person that's grading it and owns it, and Matt Quinn is there to like congratulations, it's yours.
yeah.
I like what like what's I want to know like what just the trade-off there between the benefits of making it a slightly better story versus people finding out that you're a fucking liar,
Yeah.
that the whole thing is staged, that it's Pawn Stars essentially.
Yeah.
Maybe they've been spending
and if
too
they
much
didn't
time with
lie, you
Chun-Li and
don't.
Pawn Stars. I don't know.
If they don't lie, you don't even have a video to talk about it. Like, it's just like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, this guy middleman this
it's
card.
still
They're
it's still
not
a really
talking about
cool
who he
card.
middlemaned it for, but at least we know he's middleman and it's not his card. But
Mhm.
I just don't see the benefit of phrasing things the way they phrased them.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, unless I just figure like no one will ever find out and it doesn't matter.
yeah, it's the same thing with the pre-release
Yeah.
Raichu and stuff too. Like,
Mhm.
you know, and I think a lot of people thought you were like against the pre-release Raichu, and I think I've talked to you privately, and you said that the 5.5 pre-release Raichu, that is the real Raichu, and that.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing too. It's just like
But like, why
you have
omit
the
other
why you're not
information?
just include all of the information. Like, if it
Exactly.
came from the person that was there that had it stamped, like, I'm not saying that they didn't stamp any Raichus. I'm very aware that they stamped Raichus, but when you hide where it came from, who it came from, all of that stuff, I think even the information of whether or not it was sold by a WotC employee that had it is very important information. And without that, like, there's just holes for people to pick apart.
Yeah, and
So like it's like the Shell stuff. It's like the prototype Blastoise stuff where Shell is providing the story to one person, says he doesn't know it to the other person, and then we find out he's selling a copy of the same card through someone else. Like it's like if there's vested interest, show the vested interest, show the bad parts, show the good parts. It is what it is. Materials authentic. End of story. That's it.
quick shout out to
Weird.
Billy and Rubik's for the memberships, Pokey Kid and Cyril Lewis. He's killing it right now today with the membership. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, it just, I don't know. I couldn't understand like what they had to gain. It's like you, because this is the thing that really bothered me. When you look at the pre-release Raichu, it's one of the most famous cards in this entire hobby, and it's one of a lot of people's holy grail, including mine. It's my grail. It's a card I'll never be able to acquire, but it will always be my grail. And I just I felt it hurt the hobby to just neglect some of the other information we have. Like, so, and if anybody out there is watching this podcast isn't sure what I'm talking about, so there's like the Mike Bouger copy who, you know, a lot of people say that the pre-release Raichu, because there was a sheet that had the Clefable, which potentially were where the pre-release stamps came from, and then next to that was Raichu, and then the rest of it was just the theme deck sheet. So, you know, Hitmonchan with the Blackout and the Gyarados and the Ninetales and the Mewtwo were the rest of the cards on the sheet because it was just for the theme decks. But then we also have contradictory information from a former production manager at Wizard of the Coast that said, no, all these cards came off of the same sheet and most of those cards have been destroyed, and the few pre-release Raichus that exist came off of that one single sheet. I don't think either one of those like neglect,
Yeah.
like it doesn't change the story. Like, and in fact, you can live in a world where both those situations happen. You can have a situation where there was a couple of those Raichus were stamped off of the, you know, Clefable and Raichu sheet, and then maybe there was also one test print sheet of just Raichus, and they stamped a few of those. Like, both of those stories you know, could be true because we know that there's not a full sheet because she said most of them were destroyed. It's just like, why just ignore some of the information because who knows?
That's the thing.
And when you
They're
listen
trying
to
to
these,
turn it into like a Pawn Stars. We know the exact
yeah,
truth, and this is what happened. And they don't want to have conflicting information there. But even though it's important to you, it's important to me.
yeah,
I think it should all be there, whether or not it's like lending to the authenticity or like what happened. Like it could have been just some dude was just decided, hey, I got the equipment here. I'm
yeah,
messing around with it. The same thing with like the prototype stuff. We have magic cards that say like Shell is the artist on it. He's not
hmm,
the artist on it. He was a typesetter. It's the same shit. It's just like people could have made or done whatever the hell they wanted to. Could have been multiple instances. It could have been whatever. Just authenticate the materials. Show the information that's there. Show the statements. Show who gave the statements to lead you to believe that's the information. Let people decide. That's it.
yeah. But
I'm not saying that like they never stamped a Raichu. It's just a stamp. Anyone could like anyone that had access to that stamp could have been stamping every card they ever felt like stamping.
yeah. But I will
They
go
could bring
on.
their own cards from home and stamp them if they really wanted to.
Yeah, but I will go on the record. In my opinion, I do feel that the I talked about this in my last live, and this is a little different. That the 5.5 Raichu is the real Raichu, and I shouldn't. All right, let me rephrase it. They're
Well,
both
didn't he have
real.
like he had like multiple copies or
Yeah.
something too? Like the story is so convoluted and weird, and like unless you're maybe he still know, and that's the thing too. Like even talking to people with like the first edition fake case with the Logan fake case that they probably all faked together. Like talking to anyone that worked there at that point in time, they don't remember small details. Like you're not going to.
Yeah.
When 20 years pass, like you're probably not going to remember insignificant small crap.
But I do think the one that Rusty got is in my opinion, like the better provenance to it, the better
Yeah,
backstory,
if it's the
and
one that he was bringing to and that's the thing too. Like I don't know if there's ever been, or maybe it's just a private statement that that was the one that he was bringing and showing off at like events and things like that. Like that would probably be the one that you'd want to pick up.
yeah. And I think it would actually be one of the very few cards in the history of this hobby where the lower graded copy, I think, actually carries the premium over the highest grade copy. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't think that there's any other examples of cards
Mm.
that kind of have that trend. Even though,
Well,
Logan Paul, his Illustrator 10 Pikachu was
it's a
resubmitted a
nine.
bunch of times, and they have photos of that original card in pizza boxes, and it's damn near impossible to find the backside of that card, too. Like,
Yeah.
Logan's really good at not releasing those photos because he knows, like, the potential stuff that's going to happen, but, like,
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's just like the thing with any of the cards that are like that, whether trophy cards, whatever, the grade doesn't matter. If you know who it came from, that should matter far more. And I feel like people intentionally avoid that.
yeah,
Intentionally avoid like the history of the card itself, especially with something like a trophy card. You want to know who won it. You want to know who it came from. You want to have that like exact trail of who it came from. They earned it. It's already like debatable whether you want to like have somebody's trophy that they won, that they earned, that they won in a tournament or something like that. But then also to at least know that it came from that specific person and it wasn't just a backdoor extra copy or something like that. I like the extra copy stuff is wild to me that that hasn't been kind of fleshed out as or weeded out as something completely separate and less valuable.
some of these extra copies of cards, and especially when you talk about extra copies and you talk about the Illustrator Pikachu, how even if somebody did in theory have a couple of those cards, that card was never in relative to what the hobby is. It was never a cheap card. How would
Hmm.
they be able to just not take advantage of the price valuation of those cards forever? Like even when that card was a $10,000 card, that was still the most expensive card in the hobby. You know,
Yeah.
first edition Charizards at the time was like $1,800. So what do you think kept those people from flooding the market with those cards so long ago? Because there would have been buyers for those cards back then.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's probably just some to some extent like people holding on to them or gradually selling instead of just dumping them all. If you have a bunch of trophy cards, if you're a Pocono or a PK Ono type of person and you get cards coming out your butt, extra copies, then like you're probably not dumping them all on the market. You're not pulling a Card House EU and showing off your 6 binders full of Gold Star dogs or anything like that. You're gonna gradually sell them if you want to make the most money.
Yeah,
Maybe you
but
don't need the money, so you hold on to them until the price goes up because you think it will.
yeah, but this hobby has this weird. It has a very short term memory. It's even like the Gold Star dogs. Obviously those cards still sell for not a crazy premium in comparison to other Gold Stars, but people still go after those things all the time, and they're still selling in the hundreds of dollars. So even though that a lot of those cards exist, just because it is from Unseen Forces, they are awesome artworks. Like I'm not gonna like knock the artwork because it's just sad that it has that backstory to them and how all those near mint copies, like, or maybe not all of them, but most of them, in my opinion, are all from Card House EU. It's just kind of sad.
Yeah.
But let me ask you now. So, and you can feel free to answer it or not. But the whole Sean Bassik thing. So you had your video today. You're going through like a lot of the things. Can you bring me back to the beginning? I don't really know. Like, how did this guy get on your radar in the first place?
Well, it was accidental actually. It's funny because I got a hold of his phone number, and I just wanted to call him because I had heard that he was working with Blake and CGC. They had some kind of deal worked out. I never had them confirm. CGC, Matt Quinn, would not confirm the details. He wouldn't confirm the details. The details that I heard were the fact that Sean was sending mass cards. I mean, it all lines up with what we found out since then, so I would be surprised if any of these details are wrong. But again, not confirmed by any of them.
And you're talking the Omega
He was
mystery
sending like
boxes.
$200,000 cards, or 200,000 Japanese cards to CGC to get them graded all at once. Just mass cards.
Where was he moving 200,000 cards besides Omega mystery boxes, or was that all just in preparation?
No, it was probably also Omega stuff. So
because that's a lot of cards.
this was probably in preparation for Omega stuff, and Blake was probably supposed to be in on the Omega stuff. But then, from what I heard, Blake screwed him over. He was upset with Blake. He was taking some kind of legal action against Blake. That's what I heard. That's just what I heard. He didn't confirm it, but it lines up, and it kind of makes sense that that would have been the case. So maybe Blake decided, hey, my Guess the Energy games, my Match the Energy games are going to make more money than your Junk Slab, in my opinion, mystery boxes. So then maybe Blake said, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And maybe that's why they had a falling out. They had a falling out of some kind. At first, we had...
did you see Pokey Chloe open one of those Omega mystery boxes, and she pulled out
they were bad.
An 8.5 reverse hollow, from Rebel Clash?
They were so bad.
How does that card even get graded?
And Chloe's the type that she doesn't want to bash anyone. She doesn't want to be controversial or anything like that. And I respect that. She just wants to kind of do her thing, be polite and everything else. But you could even tell when she's opening those, they're so bad. They're so bad. Yeah. Even the videos that they posted. Radar opened some, and he's excited to see a card, and he's like, oh, it's the Chinese one. And he's just giving them out to kids that are walking by. Yeah. They're bad. So anyway, Blake, they had a falling out. I called Sean. He was like, oh, I got to get on a flight or something. Call me back, and we can talk about it. And then when I called him back, he's like, oh, no, we can't talk about it. There's legal stuff. So then when I showed up, I'm still not investigating. Still not investigating anything that he's ever done. Not touching it. Don't care. Whatever. I'm still on the Blake stuff right now. Show up at Charlotte. He's right as I come in the door, he comes up to me, and he's going on about... he's like, you better not be recording me and anything like that. Because I had my phone on the gimbal. Mm-hmm. I had my wireless microphone that wasn't on. It wasn't recording at that point in time. But he was paranoid that I was recording him and going on and anything. Dude, just fucking chill. I don't want anything to do with you right now. I'll deal with you later. Go away. And so then I find out later on, people are telling me, so the Sean Bassik guy, he's upset that you were recording him. So I figured okay, so maybe I'm recording the event.
Too.
It's got a public location.
That, right? They came up to me too, right?
I had several people tell me that this guy threatened in advance of me ever mentioning his name. He was accidentally featured previously in videos. Didn't know it was him. He was the one that submitted those non-factory test prints to CGC previously. So he was in a video, or his cards were in a video previously. But so then people start telling me hey, Sean Bassik, he's mad. He says that you've recorded him, and he's saying that he's going to bankrupt you. I was like, what? Are you serious? Is this guy when he talked to me, and when I heard that, I've never seen someone act so guilty in my life. There's a ton of people will be like, oh shit, I promise I'm not doing anything wrong or whatever, or joking, if I follow someone or whatever. I'm like, no, you're fine. Don't rip anyone off, and you're gonna be all right. But this dude, just fucking terrified, because he knew he knew if I looked into any of this stuff, I would absolutely dismantle it. It's all there. He
was on your radar, but he kind of, in what you're saying, is he kind of put himself more on your radar just the way he was acting. That's how it sounds.
100%.
So if he kind of just
had he just help me out with the Blake stuff, and then maybe
that would have been it, right?
I don't notice. Maybe I find out what he's up to eventually. But when someone is acting like that, I'm just okay, well, here's a good lead. This is free.
Interesting.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. And I didn't look into it right away. So he's threatening me, whatever. He's telling people that he's going to like bankrupt me. So that's the thing too. It's just like this dude is known for like sports card fraud association with Evan Mathis, card cutting, and now he's working with CGC and cutting up test print sheets. So like the overlap there is pretty wild. It's pretty self-explanatory,
Yeah.
and a lot to do with it. Like no one wants to stand up to him, and that's kind of where I come in. No one wants to stand up to him. No one wants to call him out on any of the stuff. If they do call him out on it, they threaten. He threatens them, and they back down. That's been like his game plan is just threaten people until they back down.
So I'm looking at the chases on the front of the Omega Mystery Box. I'm just looking at it right now, and they got a first edition Shining Gyarados, T17, first edition Shadowless Charizard, and then for some reason like 5.5 Golem, unless that's some error card, and then a Dark Charizard in a CGC 10 first edition.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching, so to my understanding, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, aren't all these like mystery slabs supposed to be completely 100% random? And so
there's no way for them to be completely random because they're
but they're
seeded by
supposed to
people
be,
that
right?
were in a
So,
warehouse that are putting the stuff into the boxes.
but I'm saying, like in theory, I understand it as they're supposed to be completely random. Whatever is in there, they don't know. So pretty much, in theory, they don't know where the Charizard first edition is because it should just be randomly inserted, right?
Right.
Now,
But also, like, the Charizard that he gave away on Whatnot should have been randomized too.
But I was watching a lot of, like, big names opening up these Omega Mystery Packs. I think I saw a video, actually, Chumlee, where Chumlee opened up a handful of them. And I know a few of these got handed out at different collecticons, and, like, people weren't paying for them. And they got handed out, like I said, to Chumlee, these bigger influencers. What if, in theory, these slabs are supposed to be 100% random? In theory, Chumlee had the same percentage to pull that Charizard as anyone else in this hobby if they were to, in hypothetical, open one of those mystery slabs. What happens if Chumlee pulls that card?
then
Like,
it looks severely rigged.
yeah, I mean, the hobby wouldn't be able to handle that. Like, there's no, in my, and
Like,
again, this is
on
all
one
my
end, it's like
opinion.
it's
There would be so
advertising
many
and it's
videos
better
saying
if
how it was
someone does it
rigged.
publicly. Yeah.
Why take that risk? Unless
No,
potentially
you
that they
wouldn't.
know where the Charizard is and they know that all these packs are handing out to these influencers don't have that Charizard. And like, in my opinion, that's the only thing that makes sense. If not, they're just taking such a huge risk otherwise handing out these packs. And I mean, what happens
Well,
if,
like
like,
even then, like Sean is buying the packs himself. Like he's on Drip Shop buying them from friggin' Apple Dogger. Like
he's
from his own
open,
stream, he's buying a full box. Like so, like and then Sean opens his own Charizard if it's really in there.
because
The thing
in
is,
theory
like I don't.
his
It
chance is the
doesn't
same as
have. It
anyone,
doesn't
right?
have to be in there. Like who's regulating that? Who says that it has to be in there? Who says that it has to be random and it has to be in there?
Like,
And that's the thing too. So like, if we're gonna go back in history and we're gonna show that he was banned from Whatnot, largely because of the fact that he had a wheel spin for a Charizard, a $20,000 Charizard, super familiar. Weird that it's so familiar, and it's like the dude is doing the same shit over and over again. And there's a pattern there, other than the fact that he uses a different username on every fucking platform. So like,
why do you
he
think
does the
that
wheel
is,
spin.
too?
The
Why?
stream cuts off on Whatnot. How do you get banned from Whatnot? I want to know, how do you get banned from Whatnot? Because it's very hard. Stream cuts. He comes back to a winner. The winner happens to be somebody that is a friend and or business colleague of his. Maybe afterwards, maybe beforehand. Who knows? Sean ends up on his account talking to people after he gets banned. So he's on this person that supposedly won. The person that won doesn't have a straight story of what happened. He says they re-rolled, but he still got the Charizard. How'd they re-roll? The person that re-rolled didn't get the Charizard, so he got the Charizard, the $20,000 Charizard. Says he traded it away immediately at an event that he was there with Sean. Doesn't remember who he traded it to. Doesn't remember exactly what he traded for. He just didn't want the Charizard, so he traded it. Like, none of it adds up.
Yeah, well,
Like,
when I
and he got kicked. So then again, on the Whatnot end of things, he wouldn't re-roll. They wanted to re-roll because it wasn't on camera, it wasn't on stream.
But still, going back to what I said, I don't understand the risk to reward. You just said that he's buying.
Yeah, right. So I
You
don't
you
think it's
said
in
that
there.
he's buying
I
his
don't think
own
it's
packs.
possible. I don't think it's a
Why?
possibility.
What? Yeah, well, if I don't know the exact number, but I think it's like 200,000 slabs are graded. So let's say it's one out of 200,000. I don't know the exact number of how many of those were
Hmm.
made, but in theory, his odds of pulling it is one out of 200,000. So if he does go on a stream and purchases that
Hmm.
mystery pack, it's the same odds as if I bought one or you did or anybody in the chat. So what happens at that point if he pulls the Charizard? The risk versus
Right.
reward doesn't make sense. So it
No,
gives
but
it
at
gives
the
me, in
same
my
time, it
opinion,
could
like
be.
real sketchy vibes to that
Yeah,
because it makes
I
it
mean,
feel
and then
like
that's
he
the thing
knows he
too.
won't pull it. In my opinion, otherwise, what's the risk versus reward? It's a terrible
Yeah, you're
risk.
probably onto something there because it could be the same thing. It's like the whatnot streamers, all the ones that do the mystery boxes, they'll have a certain amount of mystery boxes. They always save the best till last. Blake did this. I had Blake's employees tell me that he did this. He had a bunch of so he would take a booster box and he would have each individual pack, have the whole thing graded and have it in individual CGC boxes. If he knew there was juicy stuff in there, he would put those boxes so they only showed up at the end. They would be at the back. They would be off to the side, whatever. He would wait to the juicy stuff so that the entire stream you're counting on the fact that you got the big prize still there because it sells for more each and every time someone buys a
Sure.
slot,
Yeah.
someone buys a box. There's still the potential to get that big hit. There's still the potential to get the Sean Bassik Charizard in his Omega mystery box.
Yeah. Because it
It's like
hasn't been pulled that for
it's
at
the
least
easiest
that we
thing
know.
to like, and then you could be like, oh yeah, I told you it was in there. I told you guys we're legitimate. It was in there. But how do you know it was not? Like, if it's pulled early, that ruins the whole box. Pull all the stuff on the front of the box. Is there anything that in writing that says that all of those cards that are on the front of the box are in the packs?
I don't
That's the
know.
thing too.
I don't
It's
have
just
an
like,
answer to that. But I would
and if it
assume
is
that
like,
everything
what's
that's on
what's
that box
preventing
is
them
in
from
there.
holding them back until the end, or having them on like one of these streamers that he's having sell this stuff for him on Whatnot, which is wild because he's banned from Whatnot, but people are allowed to sell for him on Whatnot. That'd be like Blake being allowed to sell through people on Whatnot. Can you imagine that? If Blake was allowed to hire people to sell on Whatnot at this point in
It
time,
doesn't change.
it'd be the same thing.
He's just back to running a business on Whatnot. Then in that case,
Yeah, it just wouldn't have to personally stream himself.
but I don't know, man. I just like I said, in my opinion, it's just all this stuff's not adding up. It's just how can you have so many get out of jail free passes on all this stuff too? If the things you are saying are correct, which again, anybody
No,
out there,
because like
I don't know this
anytime
information. I'm
people
getting
have
this from
posted
Rattle.
about it, the people just get threatened. Well, I mean, he moved from sports. It's become a meme in like the sports world, where when he posts on forums, he's been banned from the PSA forums like 3 times. Went from the posts that I'm seeing. People are just like, "Oh yeah, you got banned again." Like, what? Like how many times do you get banned from this stuff? Like it's very hard to get banned from a lot of this stuff. It's very hard to get banned from Whatnot. It's very hard to get banned from PSA. It's very hard to get
Do you
banned
know
from
why he
PSA forums.
allegedly got banned from PSA? Do you know why?
He got banned from PSA, to my knowledge, because of the fact that he was associated with Evan Mathis and because he sold many altered cards. Sean Bassik through OCSI, Orange County Sports Investors, I think it's called.
Who's that
There's
owned
examples.
by?
There's on the blowout forums. There's like side by side examples of here's the card before Sean Bassik. Here's the card Sean Bassik sells, and it's recased, same card, same details. Here's the part that's been trimmed off and everything else. So it looks like he's been working with Evan Mathis the whole time. Whether or not Evan was the one that altered every single one of those cards that he was selling, he doesn't have an explanation for it. You would if you said like, oh, there's just this bad actor sent me all these cards and I sold them for them, something like that. You would think you would just explain that.
Yeah.
And it's countless examples. Like there's lots on there on the blowout forums. They've called them out. There's some the blowout detective agency, as they like to be called. They like dismantled this dude and kind of like ran him out of there. He didn't want to be associated with Evan Mathis when the Evan Mathis stuff came out. This ex-NFL player, again, for some reason, he's just attracted to ex-NFL players that want to commit fraud, allegedly, in sports cards or in Pokemon. It just latches onto them for some reason. We have Blake, and then we also had Evan, who made videos of himself altering cards. Like, the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, the dude just thinks he's so invincible that he posted videos of himself altering cards. And in those same videos, he had sheets of Pokemon. And those same sheets of Pokemon, the very, very rare, very hard to grade Techno foils from Top Series 1.
Yeah, I saw those. That's
The same
crazy.
20 some copies that mysteriously all of a sudden showed up on Sean's eBay.
Yeah, and think of how tough the pull rate are for technos, and the
Yeah.
fact how
So
would
how
you
many boxes
how
would
do
you
you
have to
even
open to
source
get all
that
this?
many, especially in near mint condition? If, in my opinion, if they didn't come off a sheet, how would you?
Right.
I just they're so rare to begin with.
Nikki says, please mention Kraken Hits for selling his product. Yeah, Kraken Hits is funny because I
What's
haven't shown it in the video.
I don't know what that is.
But
What's Kraken
he's
hits?
one of the ones that's selling product for Sean on Whatnot. Sean's banned from Whatnot, but he's selling through Kraken Hits essentially. And Kraken was he sent me a message. I asked him if he knew anything about the Blake stuff, and his response to the Blake stuff was, "Well, you know what? I trust Whatnot and their decisions to ban people, and I respect their decision." So, and I replied to him. I was like, this was much later on. I replied to him. I was like, so is this the same case with our boy Sean Bassik? And just dead silence.
Mm.
So like, it's gonna play one set of rules. Not. I guess it applies to Blake. It's just like, I don't know. I get that people don't want to be involved with stuff, but I mean,
You ever hear from CGC, or have any insight of what they paid per card the grade, or you don't know?
I don't know. I heard that that he was paying more than someone else, but I also heard that from the Blake stuff, from the Blake information that I received that I wanted to talk to Sean about, that they weren't paying in advance for the grading. So they're probably only, again, this is speculation, and they're welcome to correct me on it if they'd like to. This is based on the information that someone gave me that was a reputable source. But again, I'm not the one in there making the deals with them. From what I'm hearing, there's no payment being made for that grading until they sell. So until Blake was going to sell this
What a sweet
product,
deal that is. I wish I had that
yeah,
deal with grading. It's just like, hey, I'm going to grade a bunch of these cards, and
yeah,
I'm not going to. Well,
you get
actually, I do
priority on any quantity that you want to send in, and then also you don't have
actually,
to.
I did have that deal.
I would love if
transparency, I had
they
that
could
deal.
at least confirm or deny that, like as just a straight up answer. But that's, from what I'm hearing, that's what the agreement is. The agreement might have changed. There was one event where apparently Sean was like, he was pretty upset that he found out somebody was paying less than he was. So he like ran over to Matt Quinn and was fucking throwing a tantrum or something. But there's like, hear all this shit. Like,
Yeah. So I guess technically I did have the deal where I could send cards away for grading and not have to pay until they sold, and that was through the Z&G Emporium, and I got destroyed trying to sell or trying to grade some Beckett Black labels. Like just I found out the hard way, like the Beckett Black label is tough. I sent a couple hundred cards, like Chinese print quality, and I just got destroyed, but that's a little not here nor there. But no, it's just wild that you talk about this guy Sean, and how do you? I don't know. I just don't understand.
I don't know. I don't trust
so
anything
many,
that they put out, like anything that CGC puts out at this point in time. Like,
how do you
I
gain
have
so many
a
relationships though, Rattle? Like, because you're gaining, is it just because he has a lot of money in your opinion,
money.
or
It's money.
is money?
Anyone that's going to
though?
defend his actions is probably benefiting financially directly from him.
Do you know where his
So
money
keep
comes
an eye
from?
on that. Like, with CGC's not gonna CGC. Matt Quinn fucking goes dead silent. I had him on the phone. He probably will never answer the phone for me at any point from now on. But as soon as I mention anything about Sean or anything, because even at that point I wasn't necessarily investigating what Sean was up to. I was more looking at the Blake stuff, and I mentioned the fact that like Sean, I heard that Sean submitted like 200,000 cards to you guys. What's the deal with that? And like he completely wouldn't say anything on the topic. He invited me to go to CGC at that point in time after that.
I don't know. To be honest with you, Rattle, so much of this doesn't make sense. I think that's the problem with a lot of this. It's everything you were saying. It sounds like people are playing defense from the beginning to the end, and a lot of this stuff I don't feel is in a way like negative. For somebody to grade 200,000 cards, why keep it a secret? I guess I don't understand like the
Well,
the
are you going to
goal
keep
for
it a
any of
secret
this.
because like you don't want to be associated with that individual person? Like you want the financial benefits. If you're CGC and you can turn your 40,000 cards a month into $240,000 or 240,000 cards a month in submissions, like that's got to be motivation enough to hide some stuff, to do some like little backdoor little sneak in the back here and hand us your 200,000 cards that you didn't even have in your possession. You just had people send them directly to CGC to have them mass graded. Then you end up with a bunch of CGC 6 and 5 Mimikyu EXs from the promo box. But
I don't know. Will you think he'll ever reach
also,
out
it's
to
like
him?
CGC knows. It's the same. Like I've outlined it in the questions for Matt Quinn, who said, "Hey, send me the questions," and I sent him the questions. They know damn well that the PSA had banned this guy already. I'm sure they've seen the blowout stuff. I'm sure they know he's associated with Evan Mathis. I'm sure they've looked into the fact that where are these cards being cut. They would have to be like so negligent to not find out where this guy is cutting the cards and not look into the fact that the guy has sold a ton. He's banned by PSA. He sold a ton of cards through OCSI that were trimmed, that were altered. He's associated with Evan Mathis, who's known for cutting up sheets and trimming cards. Like it all just is right there in front of them.
People are saying I'm
That's
still quiet and you're loud, so I'm gonna try really, really.
jack yourself.
So I'm at like 360. You're at 40.
Okay.
So hopefully
How's that, guys?
No, it's a wild set of events, man, and I don't know. I guess
Yeah, I don't know. Like the thing is, it's like no one talks about it because if they talk negatively about it, if they try to show what exactly is going on, which is what I'm aiming to do, I'm not like trying to paint something in a bad light. I'm just showing what's going on. If people show what's going on, there's been posts before, they get removed because he threatens everyone. He threatens everyone with legal nonsense, and
uh,
people back down because the dude has money to do it.
Nikki Slabbage said with the super chat said CGC is garbage grading. Grading should always be anonymous. I agree 100% with that statement. I
Yeah.
just does any company really ever like sit in the same room and grade people's cards? Like, do you know of any examples that happened besides like obviously like CGC and Chumlee with that jungle booster box and stuff?
I mean, all of the stuff, like all of the featured stuff, all of the stuff that's on the. I'm so suspect of everything that's ever been featured because we had the dude that ends up being like Matt Quinn's friend. It's like his friend in a later video, but they're on Pawn Stars, and he's pretending to like, I'm assuming pretending to sell this box to Chum Lee because he says that like he doesn't want to open it, but then it's like alpha rares in a beta box, and he's selling it for less than he bought it for, and like the whole thing is staged. And then
Yeah,
like I
that's
feel like
staged.
maybe
I
maybe
want to.
maybe the people that are behind that are just like, you know what, we need to turn CGC into fucking Pawn Stars because it's entertaining. But that's personally that's okay. Maybe I'm not the customer base because I think grading is mostly a sham. But the fact that they want to kind of deceive people or like kind of make up a story or make up a scenario and like stage things is a turnoff. It
Yeah.
should be a turnoff for anyone that wants to collect graded cards. Like if I was collecting graded cards, if for some reason I wanted to collect graded cards, that would be like to see that the fact that they're faking it, whether it's like a storage wars or like I don't give a shit how exciting it is. I want someone to be honest. I want someone to be transparent about what they're doing and what they're grading and what they're offering as a service. Like that's your job. Your job is not to be entertaining. You're not fucking Pawn Stars. You're CGC. You're supposed to be a grading company. You're supposed to be an authority and someone that people can, sad but true, blindly trust with the authenticity and everything else. And you're showing everyone that it's not that. It's the opposite of that. It's a fucking clown show, make belief. So and so, congratulations on your grade, which maybe shouldn't be the grade because you know who's receiving it. They're sitting right next to you when you reveal the grade to them. They brought it in. It was a walkthrough. Is it Matt Quinn grading it? Who graded it? Was it blind? Maybe you should show that it was blind. I don't know. And like, there's a certain extent where it can't be blind anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just all of it is just a.
Can they
It's extra
recover
bad.
from this, or can any of these people recover from this, or because this just seems like right now it's just like such a dark point in the hobby for so much of this stuff. It's just
I don't know.
I feel like
that's no one wants to recover from any of it. I don't think. A lot of it, like anytime I make a video on any of that stuff, like anyone that's like caught in it is just like, oh, it's just Rattle doing drama. It's not drama. We can get into drama. That's not drama. That is just showing you what actually happened. Is it flattering? No, probably not, because they don't want you to see that stuff. No one's going to take the time to get into it, and the people that do get into it, sometimes they're threatened and they don't want to talk about it. That's kind of like the whole premise, like the whole premise of like my channel and what I'm doing is the fact that no one has to do that. No one wants to do that. People are fine with like picking something apart, like, oh yeah, Blake got banned, but they're not like going to accuse Blake of anything. They're not going to like dig into it and like be like, here, like this is why he's probably scamming you guys and get into that stuff. Like a lot of that is, I don't know. Like Sean Bassik is like the prime example. He might not be. It's not as fancy. It's not as sexy as a fake Logan Paul case or anything like that. But the dude is probably worse for Pokemon than Logan Paul, in my opinion. Like the dude, like the amount of people that he has scared that he's going to do something to them financially, that won't say something, that can't say something, that have said something, and were basically threatened to the point that they won't say anything anymore, is the reason why I exist.
How are you able to buck that trend? How are you not able to be like, I don't know, scared into?
I don't care. I'm just like, at this point, I'm just going full moral right direction. I'm gonna say pussy wussy and shit like that on my channel, but at the same time, I'm gonna make sure that people aren't ripping other people off. I can't protect every single transaction that ever happens, or every scammer. I want to kind of inform people on how to avoid that stuff. I want to, like, if someone's a repeat offender, if someone's going after people, if someone's Blake Martinez and stealing, allegedly stealing a ton of money from everyone ever, then I want to stop that. I want to, and again, even with the Blake stuff, like, we didn't get 100% refunds. Whatnot did not do the right thing.
Did Maggie get a refund? Maggie, please.
Got a refund.
Good.
There was somebody that had like $40,000 that they had refunded.
Wow.
And Blake purchases, and they're just like, I can't believe this. Like,
can you imagine spending $40,000?
He was like grooming people. With? He had like a special group for his fucking whales, where he was like, they would like tell him like when people were going live, when they were going live and stuff like that. Come on in, but like the Maggie clips were disgusting.
Yeah. Like
for him to be just like taunting someone or like telling someone to keep putting money in when he knew there was no chance until the very end. Like that is a disgusting human being. You might as well be taking the money right out of her pockets.
All right, well, I think we covered the whatnot drama that happened. I think we covered the Sean Bassik stuff that's been going on. But I know on your channel, next Friday, you're doing the new Paldean Fates opening, right? How many ETBs are you opening?
I have 4 cases of 10, so I got 40 ETBs.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to come anywhere close to completing the baby shinies with that amount.
100 baby shinies, that's a daunting task.
No, that's never going to happen. I don't even want to know how many packs you'd have to open for that, but...
What time are you going to go live for that?
That'll probably be 6 p.m. Eastern time.
And you get all
try to start like somewhat early. It's not as bad as like not as long. It won't be as long of a stream as like the 4 cases of booster boxes.
You ever look back on like
that's a long one.
You ever look back on all your Evolving Skies openings and just think of how crazy that was, or you try not to think about it at this point?
I try not to think about it to some extent. My God, the amount of time that I spent breaking down product to get those Evolving Skies packs at a reasonable price, it was rough.
What was the number one product you broke down to get those Evolving Skies packs?
There was a lot of Costco boxes. I mean, there was a lot of Divergent tins. There was a lot of the what Costco product? It was like Costco mini tins or something.
Hmm. What came in those Costco mini tins besides Evolving Skies? Was it Fusion Strike and Battle Styles or something? Or no,
I
Brilliant
think it was
Stars.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I had a lot of Brilliant. Still have a lot of Brilliant.
How much
At
is
one point,
what's a
oh my
lot?
god,
How much is a lot of Brilliant? How many are we talking?
don't know how many booster boxes worth. Maybe 10 booster boxes worth of loose packs. Something like that right now.
360 plus
But I think I got rid of
packs.
that much, or if not more. Like there was a ton of Brilliant. But that's the thing too, is like I had Brilliant complete at that point in time, so I wasn't opening those.
How are you looking your master sets? Some of these sets nowadays are pretty brutal when it comes to pull rates. Have you noticed that how bad the pull rates are getting, or not really? I mean, you open
Um,
as much product as anybody I know, so.
yeah, so it's been kind of a fluctuation. Like Scarlet and Violet has been weird because like I feel like Scarlet and Violet base was kind of in the sweet spot. That was like 3 cases or just like shy of 3 cases that I finished the set. And then
I think that was really lucky too. You didn't get a lot of dupes too.
Pal-
You like pulled the perfect one of
Paldea
each.
Evolved was like 3 sets combined. So that was like too much.
Hmm.
That was too much. I can't remember how much I got. It might have been 3 cases of that as well, but I was nowhere close. Like the IRs were like kicking my butt because there was 34 of them or 35 of them or something crazy with the 3 set, like the 3 Japanese sets combined. Then we had Obsidian Flames was too small because it was 1 set and then a bunch of theme decks.
Do
But then
you?
we were back to like, yeah, it's a back and forth. I think it needs to be like 2 Japanese sets combined to make it like a normal, realistic kind of thing.
Yeah. What about the new set? What's it called? Time Gazer or whatever. Time
Temporal.
Temporal. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about that new
What
set?
was it?
Have you seen any of the spoilers? I just saw them
I
like
have. I saw the
today.
dinosaurs, and I gotta say, I'm a fan.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Pokemon's doing good right now, but I'm just surprised. I thought we were gonna see something come out like a new rarity or something very similar to what we saw happen like in Bio Styles. We saw alternative arts, and then in Sun and Moon we saw like team up cards and stuff. So or tag team cards, I should say. I was expecting to see something at this timeline for Pokemon, and I don't think we're really seeing it. They're recycling a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, some of that. Maybe some more gimmicks or something. It'll be. We have the ancient and the future stuff right now, but
What's the playability of this new stuff? Is it good or?
I haven't seen too much on that, so I'm not totally sure. But I'm gonna run up to the bathroom
Yep.
if you want to grab a question or two.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
yeah, Temporal Fates, like the dinosaurs, the SIRs, man, the IRs, they're all looking great.
So real quick, I'm gonna go look at the chat. I appreciate all you guys doing the memberships. Cyril Lewis, I really appreciate you. Billy and Rubik's, really appreciate it. I'm curious, Billy, let me know down in the chat. Are you gonna be hopping on Rattle's live stream when he's going through the new Paldean Fates? I'm excited about Paldean Fates. It's just in a way, it's just a little bit. It feels a little too recycled, and like I hate to say that, but he's got to chase Charizard again, and it's like, okay, you got to chase Charizard in Paldean Fates. You got to chase Charizard in Shining Fates. You got a chase Charizard in Champion's Path. You got to chase Charizard in Hidden Fates. Like, all these specialty sets they just keep pumping them out, and they keep having these chase Charizards. And listen, I get it, why Pokemon keeps going back to the original 151 and going back to, like, the big guy Charizard. And you can't like deny either. You look at all the new sets that are recently coming out, and you look at the Charizard, and the Charizard is always selling for this crazy premium. It's just I wish Pokemon would be able to figure out whatever they're missing to not always just have the chase be a Charizard. I wish they could just figure it out. And you know, even with some of the shining Pokemon, like a shining Pikachu. I mean, I love Holland Phantoms as much as the next guy. When that's a shining Pikachu artwork. But when you look at the new shiny Pikachu, it's not even like a color difference. It's still a yellow Pikachu. It's just a shiny version. I don't know. I just wish Pokemon could figure
I
out what
mean,
they're doing wrong.
shiny Pikachu kind of sucks. They kind of dropped the ball on that, I guess,
Yeah.
to begin with.
I mean,
But
yeah. I mean, when you think about a
they should
Shining,
have made him some crazy color.
I would like to see him bring back Delta Species cards. Some,
I mean, we're kind of getting that with the Terra stuff, but
yeah.
similar, similar mechanic, I guess. Where
So in my last live, I did a hypothetical rattle. I said, "What if Pokemon reintroduced a Dark Set?" So Dark Set, and have you played Scarlet and Violet? Do you know who like the bad guys are in Scarlet and Violet? Because obviously everyone kind of goes to Gen 1 and they goes to Team Rocket, but they've done darker sets with like Team Aqua versus Team Magma. This is a
yeah,
common thing that Pokemon does with like the bad guys of the set. I would love to see a Scarlet and Violet dark Pokemon set because it's been a really really long time since we've seen dark Pokemons. I'm talking the better
yeah,
part
they
of
kind of they had like smaller kind of specialty sets with like the
yeah, like the
Magma,
Team Rocket's
Aqua.
briefcase out of Japan
Hmm.
that had the Giovanni and the Persian, and it had the Here Comes Team Rocket card. But those are still like more one-off type things. I'm talking a full-blown
Hmm.
dark Pokemon set. I would love to see it.
Yeah, something like that would be cool. Also, like just like I don't know if you had like a villains, almost like a trainer, like a gym set or
Mm.
like a trainer set, but if it was like good guys versus bad guys kind of thing, that'd be kind of cool. Just all the different bad teams and all the, I guess the good characters. More, I mean, more characters, the better. I saw that we're getting a couple SIRs from like previous gym leaders. There's like a Gengar featured, like
Yeah.
Morty's Gengar or something.
But we
That's
saw a
pretty cool.
Gengar not too recently. A real quick shout out to Sterling G. Appreciate the 10 gifted memberships. But we saw like a Gengar character, or what was that in Lost Origins? We saw the Gengar. I think you were playing it
Yeah,
in your deck too, right? You were playing.
yeah. The one coming out though has like Morty on it. It's not just like, well, wait, trying to think of who the characters are on that Gengar there where he's like blowing on the fire or whatever.
You're talking Lost Origins?
The the smoke in the pipe Gengar, yeah.
Oh, I'm
I'm
not
trying to
sure.
think if there were actual characters or if it was just like random. I can't remember.
Let's see. Oh man, I just looked on TCG Player. That Gengar card is yeah. Uh, I don't
Is
know.
it
If it,
expensive now
no, it's like two
or
dollars
cheap?
and 59 cents.
Oh,
But that's LP.
yeah. A lot of
So
that stuff is kind of LP. Yeah.
yeah. Well, near
I mean,
mint,
a lot of that stuff, if
bunch
you're
of
buying it
sales for
on TCG Player,
$2.21.
it's probably got scratches on it. There's a lot of foil on those bad boys.
Yeah, but near mint's selling. Somebody bought near mint quantity 22 at $4.48. I wonder what their plan with those were. If you're buying 22 copies, you got one thing in mind, and it's
I gotta
graded.
say,
And these cards, the
grading.
print quality is rough on these.
I don't know. Sometimes if I find something like real cheap, I'll just buy a bunch of them.
I just pulled
I
up
don't plan on grading them, but
on Google. Do you have like a favorite Gengar card?
favorite Gengar card? I think
Yeah.
the level X.
Really?
I really like level X's.
I
Like primes,
I'm
I'm like,
surprised to hear that.
not great. Level X's, love them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just like it's the perfect. It's like a better prime.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I'm looking right now. I mean, there's a couple that are, ones that I really enjoy. I definitely love me some Phantom Forces, but I'm a big Mimikyu guy, so all the team up cards with Gengar Mimikyu, I love every single one of them. It's crazy how expensive they are, though.
Yeah, the tag teams are still. I think a lot of them have dropped, but
Yeah.
still
So,
expensive.
I mean, just
Those were hard to complete sets. Like End of Sun and Moon was big,
yeah,
and then
Cosmic Bliss was
it kind of shrunk
huge.
back down with like Sword and Shield base and the early Sword and Shield sets.
The Gengar Mimikyu, the alt art from Team Up, the SM9, it dropped let's see, from $330 and it's selling at what is this, 277 for near mint, so it's dropped a decent amount.
Yeah, still
I don't know if
expensive.
people are getting priced out of these cards right now, or you just think like maybe the demand is slowing a little bit.
Um, I mean, there's definitely they were. That's the thing too. Is just like it was the shiny thing to chase at one point in time. I guess people just like ran out of alt arts from Sword and Shield to go after, and they kind of moved into that. They're like, oh, this is a thing, and then people were buying them up. So there was probably a little bit of market manipulation going on there, on top of the fact that everyone kind of wanted them, and then when the price goes up, everyone's like, oh shit, I'm gonna miss out on these. No one wanted them back when they came out.
Yeah. Um, so Son of a Merc had a good point. I didn't even think about it. He said they did tease us with the Dark Sylveon box. That was recent. I mean, they slowly dribble out like dark Pokemon. I just want a set that's
Well, that was more like the celebrations kind of thing where
Yeah.
they had the gold star Greninja, and they had like,
Sure.
I wish the whole set would have been like that. That would have been sick. Like a bunch of Pokemon that didn't or weren't around for certain eras or didn't get the treatment for a level X. They didn't get the treatment for a Prime. They didn't get the treatment for an EX or Mega EX or whatever, and they just kind of made a whole set out of just a mix and mash of stuff that didn't exist before. Like, I don't know. The reprint stuff doesn't do it for me. Like reprint bracelet again. Like I'm still gonna collect it, but I was more excited about the like the Mimikyu and all that stuff. The promos
Yeah. No, the
were cool.
Mimikyu promos, especially most recently, the Mimikyu promo for the new ETB is. I think that one slaps. It's
Oh,
just there's gonna be a ton of
that
them.
one weirds me out a little bit.
Really.
Yeah. So it's not that the art is awesome, but it's weird that it's like a realistic grandma with the Mimikyu. Like it doesn't feel. It feels like outside of like Pokemon range. I mean, I am gonna have a ton of them, but
Yeah. I don't know. My favorite Mimikyu is still the Brilliant Stars one, the one where he's watching TV. Love that card.
oh yeah, that one's awesome. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
cards.
No, but I am looking at that new Mimikyu. Uh, yeah, I didn't really ever notice that old lady. It is just way too realistic.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just like Pokemon in real life. It's almost like
Like a Norman Rockwell
was
painting.
the detective like the detective Pikachu where it's weird to see like Charizard with fucking textures and stuff, or
Yeah.
weird to see like Mewtwo all slimy. It's just like one of those things that you can't unsee.
Do you have any plans to complete any more master sets right now, or are you just slowly working your way through? Because I know you do all
Um,
your
hmm.
TCG. Is it TCG player? You got a Rattle 5 code?
No, Troll and
Troll and
Toad, I get
Toad,
a
I mean.
Rattle 5 code. I do have a link that people, if they want to support my channel, they can click on the TCG player link beforehand, and that will kind of credit me or give me a kickback on it. But there's no like reward or anything like that for it.
That's
So I
pretty
have the
awesome,
link
that
tree
Troll
now
and
because
Toad.
I've been like collecting discount codes for like good places to shop. Like whether you're buying like Dragon Shield sleeves if you play the game, or if you want to like ball out on what you're sleeving your stuff with, all the way down through like you know your. I mean, there's always been the buy e stuff if you're buying stuff from Japan. Good place to start, but then you probably want to move into um, something else, having your own kind of mailbox at some point. But
Yeah.
if anyone's like not comfortable with that, make sure you let me know beforehand. Come into the happy hour chat tomorrow. Always happy to like walk people through making those purchases because it's daunting. And then
Yeah.
people like they'll buy it from someone on Whatnot that bought from Japan instead of just buying it from Japan themselves.
Have you been doing any of the Japanese buying? So let me ask you. I know you got scammed on a box. God, how many? I don't even know how many sets ago that was. Did you ever? I mean, out of all the people that get scammed, I
There's
think.
yeah. No, it's better that I got scammed. But yeah, you can't buy sealed boxes on like Mercari or like a Yahoo Japan or something like that. I mean, there's always like a chance that you're gonna get something that you didn't expect, or the condition isn't gonna be what you expect.
Yeah.
But keeping those expectations realistic, looking for deals, being careful kind of with who you're buying from, make sure that it's not something sketchy. But like seal product in Japan now, unless you know exactly where it's coming from, unless it's coming from the Pokemon Center Japan, unless it's coming from a distributor that's sending it to someone in the West, or something like that, you got to be very careful because the reseals are real, and there'll still be packs in there, but they'll take the big hit out, or they'll take the big stuff out of it and kind of reseal it with the rest.
Yeah. I don't
So
know. It's
it's a shame, but so
it's yeah. It's a shame that I don't.
or Amazon Japan, you can get it from them direct. That's also kind of like a lottery system usually, or it has been. I don't know if it'll ever change that. little bit easier to buy from them. But
Yeah. I don't know why Amazon Japan, I feel like they were quick to act when they put that pull strip on the booster boxes. I don't understand why they don't just do the Pokeball wrapping or like
yeah, I mean the pull strip doesn't do anything though because you can
no, it
pull it apart
doesn't.
from
But
the
they were quick
sides.
to
Yeah,
implement that like cuz I
yeah.
think the resales for Japanese product was always a thing, but it was never as big of a problem as we saw recently. And I think not only was it a big problem for like US buyers, it was a big problem for Japanese buyers too. And I think the Japanese
Mhm.
market doesn't handle that real well.
No, and that's the thing too. Is just like if it ended up in a shop and people are buying individual packs, like you should never buy individual Japanese packs, regardless. But and that's the thing too on Whatnot. It's just like, oh, we got this big container, or we got this tub full of Japanese packs. It's like, okay, but how many of the like the big ones did you take out of it? Or it's just it's sketchy. I mean,
Yeah.
you can kind of do that. Like English is kind of that way, where you're probably expecting a certain amount, depending on the set, how of like big hits. And if you get those big hits, then the rest of the box is probably dead. And if people are grimy enough to sell the rest of those, so like make sure you're buying your packs either seal product from somewhere reputable, somewhere that like has no reason to screw you over, and somewhere that hasn't like there hasn't been three owners of this thing. It's not in a back alley, like that someone like pulled out the good stuff out of a box and pieced something together. Like you can buy loose packs. You just got to be very careful who you buy loose packs from.
Yeah. Do you think we're at the point now where all the scamming's going to get less? Have you been noticing less scamming, or is it just business as usual for all these people?
Um, so it's weird because there's less of the that group of people that were into Pokemon because Pokemon was money at that point in time. So there's a lot of those people that left, but then there's also a lot of people that are clinging on to like the dream to be a Pokemon dude, to do Pokemon full time, to whether if they're breakers or anything like that. Like if you're making less money now and you're accustomed to making more money or making enough money to sustain whatever you're doing, then at that point you know do shady things in order to keep that going, in order to like that missed revenue that is no longer there. You can't go to Walmart. You can't fill your cart with stuff from Walmart and sell it on Whatnot anymore.
Yeah, I think the big problem is right now it's just yeah, like you said, if you're not making as much money, but a lot of this Pokemon stuff, it's just the barrier of entry to scam a lot of this stuff is just so low. Especially when it comes to like,
Yeah.
pack openers. I've showed it on my channel before. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just type in like whatnot scamming in my channel search bar. You'll see it's in my opinion, again, this is all my opinion, like it doesn't take much effort to resale a pack at all. You can do that. It just
No, you are 100% when if you're buying from someone on Whatnot or doing breaks or anything like that, you are 100% opening your wallet, closing your eyes, and hoping they don't pull some of the money out. Like
hoping
that's
they don't
basically what
scam
it
you.
comes down to. Yeah, you have to basically trust that person 100%, or be ready to lose the money because that's kind of where it is. There's no way that anyone can ever tell if something's resealed properly or even half-assed.
Not through a
Like,
camera.
oh my God, like the amount of people that like the people that are getting caught are just like too lazy to reseal the pack even. Like
Yeah.
Snee is not even resealing the bottom of the pack. If
You
she was
ever
resealing the bottom of those packs
there's no
and
video. She
wasn't
never
doing
gets
like
caught.
swaps or anything like that, like she wouldn't have been caught on that stuff
You ever
on
think about that though?
the
Like the
video.
fact that it was just a couple packs was enough to for her to slip up, but how many packs did she open before that? And
Yeah,
what did she
but that's
only
the thing
ever
too.
get
It's like
caught on the ones she resealed? Like in my
yeah,
opinion, no. So it makes you question like, well, what if she just didn't swap packs and bring the wrong artwork back on the screen? Because that
oh
was one of them,
that
right?
was super greedy.
Yeah.
That was a terrible scam. Like the other scams were like, man, you need a lot of footage in order to see that they're doing the same like stuff out of the box, and you need to know that
Hmm.
the stuff out of the box is going to come out in the same order, that the energy is going to come out that way. And unless you're watching a ton of footage, unless you're in there for the entire stream, unless like you've been in there for multiple entire streams and you know what to look for, like someone's just popping in and out, maybe they're in there for an hour or something, they're not going to notice the pattern.
Yeah.
You piece it all together, and they have the stuff in the same order, and they're always doing it with the same packs. And then when they can't do it with the same packs, they open the bottom of the pack like Snee did, which was, again, super greedy, super, like, she's holding the bottom of the pack. Like, you just got caught with one of that.
Yeah.
That's the thing, too. It's just like, if they didn't get caught on that, they would have been caught on something else. Like, Blake burned a ton of people, like, business-wise, like, previous employees, like, stuff like that, to the point that, like, there's no way someone wouldn't have said something at some point. He was reported a ton. Like, he should have already been off the platform. But
Now,
he had Craig, who was his best bud, best man. Well, I guess Blake was his best man that was kind of running defense for him.
now
And then
in your
everyone's afraid to say anything at Whatnot because they're the big dicks. You say anything to them, then maybe you get cut, maybe you get fired, maybe you get demoted, or you don't move up, or any of that stuff. Like, there's kind of pressure on all of them that the higher ups or the people running the show, you can't really call them out on something that they're doing wrong because.
Well, let me ask you a question, Rattle. So, in your opinion, so Snee was, I mean, obviously bringing different packs on screen, potentially resealed and all this stuff.
Mhm.
But do you think she was doing it just to make Blake happy because the longer the bounty goes, the more money he makes? Or do you think
They,
that it was possible that she was just waiting for her friend to buy? Because if you have a $3,000 bounty, eventually somebody will hit that bounty, or otherwise that stream goes on for perpetuity. So do you think it's possible she like just had a signal with one of her friends, or they text her on her phone off screen and they're like, okay, bid whatever this pack's going to sell for, $50, and win this
yeah.
$3,000 bounty? In your opinion, you think that's a possibility? Or
So that's something that I could never see or link enough kind of footage together to piece that together. And again, it could be like on burner accounts that that I could never be able to trace. But that's something that Whatnot would be able to see on their end, should be able to see on their end. If someone's always winning, or someone's on a certain IP, or some like random account is always winning it, like the newly made account or stuff like that, like they should be able to catch a lot of that stuff that I can't necessarily, especially like with not limited to so much footage. But it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if they're always kind of like early on, like someone will win. The trend was that early on someone would win, so they could say that somebody already won the bounty, and then they could keep increasing the bounty in the background. It would keep getting more spectacular. It'd be like $3,000 worth of product in the background, and then someone only wins at the end because then they do their like super greedy model where they would be like, okay, you match any of the energies, and then they go through like all of them. They have them all on the table. They're like, your odds are increasing. You better bid more, and they're bidding against each other, so they're bidding more each time. So they're like extra cashing in on the value of all the stuff that's in the background because people think there's a very good chance that they're going to get it. Like, oh my god, you can match any of the energies except for one, and then of course you don't match.
Yeah.
So like someone bid a ton of money on that, and then they've been kind of milking it the entire stream. So that was their big thing. The Snee stuff with the pack swaps, like that was, oh my god, it was so greedy. But like at the point, the thing was that like they were competing. They were competing with each other to who could suck Blake's cock the hardest. And then they were competing for who could get like who wanted to be on the main channel, because they had multiple channels, which shouldn't be allowed either. Like if you have a channel and you want to have multiple people running it, you should have one channel. It shouldn't be like, okay, I can run a monopoly on here and I have all these channels and I get special treatment with fees and I get special treatment with like potentially advertising or being promoted on the page or anything like that because you're the face of the platform. So they're competing. Like if you're making the most money, Blake is going to put you on the main channel. You're going to make more money. If you're making commission off of that stuff, you're going to make more money. If you scam more people because you're making more money and you're getting a percentage of it. So there's multiple like incentives there to do bad things as long as you don't get caught. Well, so did Snee just kind of went too far.
So now, segueing out of Whatnot, I gotta ask you. I mean, you covered it on one of your videos. You covered like the whole CGC comic book grading scandals and stuff, and it ended up being like 350 books they recalled, and potentially like closer to $1 million worth of comics, opposed to further away from $1 million. Like, what do you think about like scams at that level, where There's got to
I
be a
mean,
huge. I mean, I don't. I know I've seen some videos where like people were trying to resale the comic book slabs, and I don't know like the actual way that they were submitting these slabs to CGC, but it looked like they were going through the CGC reholdering program. Like that is a scary, scary thought that you can resale a comic book slab, replace the book, add a lower condition book in it, and then the resale be so good that it makes it through like a
you can
CGC
get it
professional,
reholdered.
because you would imagine that the CGC professionals are the same ones resale or same ones
Oh,
reslabbing
okay.
them.
Yeah. You mean the authenticity
Yeah.
guarantee or whatever?
So how
Yeah,
scary? How
that
scary
doesn't
is
surprise
that?
me because like if you think about like the people that are grading, like the people that are mass grading stuff, I've said it a jillion times and I feel like a broken record, but like they're not making it's less than $1 more than McDonald's makes at these grading companies.
Mm.
Like you have someone there that's doing this all day, that's spending like 30 seconds or less per card. They're not gonna get everything right. They're not gonna get most stuff right. It's it's over glorified. They're gonna claim it's experts, and you know what? Maybe after they look at enough cards, they can quickly assess what it probably is. But there's gonna be mistakes. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
And we see it with like not only stuff that's like blatant mistakes. So like anyone could look at it and be like, "Hey, this isn't a 10. This thing's been folded into a paper airplane. Like,
Yeah. But I
what are they thinking here?"
I
But
don't think that
also,
they took
the fact
stuff
that
of
like
like
how many
that low
times do you get
quality.
stuff from grading that you're like, "Shit, I gotta resubmit this because they graded it wrong."
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what grading company, they're gonna do it.
Oh, it happens all the time. Yeah.
And it's not like a dishonest thing. It's not a Logan Paul, you know, Illustrator 10 that got sent in as a 9 a jillion times until it hit a 10. This is like actual just improperly graded, wrong grade for what it was. So,
Yeah. And it brings up the question of if there was only one guy doing it. And 350 comics, that's not like a small
no, that's
amount.
insane.
So it means he was
So,
probably more likely than not doing it for literally years. And if some of these comics that he was doing were these high value comics, it makes you look at the whole population report and go, are these comics like, all these fake copies at that point or lower grade copies in the CGC higher slab? Like, how much did they devalue the market for all those slabs? So then
yeah.
CGC is now paying people out for current market value. And it's like, well, this current market value only exists because somebody was able to grade 10 extra of this copy in a 9.8, and they don't actually exist. This is a way rarer card. It'd be the same thing as if somebody could figure out a way to crack PSA 10 Charizards and resubmit him. Right now the PSA 10 population's 122. If you were to able to take all the nines and keep getting them into tens, and you increase the pop from 122 to 175, you're gonna take down the market of one of the most expensive cards in this hobby. So I don't
Mhm.
see how that didn't happen for CGC. And then for CGC to only pay people out at that current market value, I don't know. That's a little sketchy, if you ask me.
No, yeah, it's all sketchy. There's no way to tell like, and it's probably downplayed. If I had to guess, like, there's no way to tell how much of it happened.
Yeah. So
But yeah, like I have like as little faith as I have in the graders, regardless of the grading company, the standard guy that's in there grading all day that doesn't want to be there. There's no way you want to be there. That like maybe you want to be there the first day. There's no way you want to be there. It's a job. It's you do what you got to do to not get yelled at. You do what you do to do it as fast as possible. But I have even less faith in the eBay authenticity people because those are like is that like the B team?
uh, I mean,
Like you're not good enough to be at the grading facility, but you're the one that checks the things that they graded.
yeah,
Like what are the qualifications for that?
true.
I mean, we
Listen,
saw whatnot. We saw whatnot. Just put their certificate or their authentic. Like they had Dustin Souza friggin' fake slabs, like Etsy slabs, like the fakest, most obvious slabs of all time, and they put their like authenticity whatnot guarantee where it got shipped to whatnot. They put a little piece of paper that says, "Hey, we're whatnot, and we authenticated these things," and then they get sent off to the customers. Like
Hey, speaking of Etsy cards, what was that Nat Turner comment he put? Somebody was saying how like PSA was scamming them about fake cards or something, and
Oh,
how I forget how did that story
yeah,
go?
there was what? Damn it, what card was it? It was something like Marvel or something. It was some Marvel card that was like serialized, and someone made a tweet, put out a tweet about how like PSA wouldn't grade it, and they pulled it, and it was real, and all this other stuff. And yeah, Nat Turner was just like, no, it's fake, and he just like linked the Etsy links listing to the same card, because it's just like, okay, clearly it's not the real thing. The real thing exists. There's photos of the real thing.
I love
It's a
that he
like to
linked
try to do that
the.
with like,
uh,
but yeah,
no, I love that he linked the like the Etsy fake card, especially Marvel being a serialized card too. There's only going to be one,
yeah.
15 out of whatever, 15.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's some of that in sports that gets real dicey where there's like serialized cards and there'll be multiple copies of it or stuff that's supposed to be one on one, but there's more than one on one. The whole extra copy thing is just when you get into that realm of like exclusive crap is just real sketchy. But like this was clearly just it was a counterfeit.
Yeah, Etsy version.
Known counterfeit. Yeah.
What do you are you worried about like counterfeits getting better now? I mean, printing capabilities are already super good,
Yeah.
but I mean, I get nervous when I look at the gray felt hat Pika and seeing how many people were definitely fooled by the reprints because, Pikachu in a gray felt hat promo when it comes to like making fake cards, it's a lower barrier of entry because it's not a hollow, it's not a texturized card,
Yeah.
and of some of those cards, if they just got the spacing right, at the bottom where it said Nintendo 2003 and just put a couple spaces, that card instantly gets a lot harder to identify as fake. And then the one added layer where now they're not just doing the fake cards, they're doing the fake PSA slabs. I don't know. It gets
Yeah.
tough.
I mean the fake slabs, everyone like panics about the fake slabs, but like that's the thing too, is just like people are using a lot of times using the graded cards as a crutch and it they kind of promote it as a crutch. It's like a oh your card is authentic, but
Mm,
you don't. You need to know what the fake case looks like. You
yeah.
need to know even if they take a mold and directly of a PSA case and it looks very much and it fits together like a regular PSA case. You need to see that the corners aren't sharp. You need to see that the logo isn't there. You need to take a black light to it if you need to. You need to verify. I mean, regardless, you need to verify that the condition of the card is what they say it is because they can misgrade, and you need to verify the authenticity. There's been fake stamps that have passed through all the grading companies. There's been fake cards that have passed through all the grading companies. You need to know what the real thing looks like. You buy a $4 jeweler's loop. You take a look at it. You can check to make sure that the rosette pattern is there. I've yet to
Yeah.
see a fake that even comes close. Like,
You
the
could just
closest thing
look
I've
through
seen
the
was a
side of the
scan,
card.
and it had the rosette, but there was artifacts all over it because it was a scan.
Yeah.
It was a high quality scan.
I mean, if you have a decent magnification, you could just look at the side of the card too and see that carbon layer. Like it,
That too, yeah.
it always is. It's pretty apparent when you have it under high magnification. But
Same
yeah,
with like booster boxes and stuff like that. Like the fake booster boxes, the ones that use a fake box on the inside. Like I get so many people that ask me like, "Hey, is this box real?" I'm just like,
yeah,
"No." Like it'll be a jungle box, or like the leaves are not even lining up anywhere close to where they should be on like the sides of the boxes or where the flap is or anything like that. Like it's like okay, it kind of looks like a jungle box, but like clearly it's not a real jungle box here.
the amount of fake stuff that is just slowly hitting the market. I mean, I've seen it happen recently with like Sun and Moon base set booster boxes and stuff. Somebody posted it in your Rattle Discord, and it was just like very clearly fake stuff. And I look on eBay, and I'm like, let me look on eBay, and the promoted listing is some 14 feedback seller selling these things, and people are buying them. And the problem is, if you're buying this fake stuff,
Hmm.
you don't know it's fake. So you get it. You're probably not opening a Sun and Moon base set booster box for $300. So you're putting it away. And a lot of these people aren't going to even find out their shit's fake for like a couple years. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they stick it away or hide it away and find out that it's fake later or sell it to someone and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of like try to tell people like it's okay to be new to Pokemon or whatever, but like make sure you learn this stuff before you spend a significant amount of money on things. And if it's too good to be true, be extra careful.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. If it's too good to be true, it probably is true.
Yeah. Be extra careful. If you want to take risks, if you want to like bid on something that's a low feedback, whatever, and it looks like it's real, it's a real picture, and everything else checks out, like you might not receive it, you might not receive the actual thing. Just make sure you're paying if it's on eBay or wherever, that you're doing it in a way that you're protected.
Oh, yeah. And you saved me once. You remember I was going to buy that Crystal Charizard?
Yeah.
So,
You,
I was all in, man.
Did we find out if it was real then?
I don't know. Once I didn't buy it, I stopped looking at it. But that's part of it too in this hobby is you just get greedy, you know, you're looking for that really good deal sometimes and you're just hoping that something is in fact too good to be true. What was that?
And sometimes you put the blinders on. If it's a scam, it's usually always too good to be true. It's a $3,000 bounty in the background that you have a 1 in 8 chance of getting, or like stuff like that. It's just it's there. There are, I mean, you can score on stuff. It's not an all the time thing. Sometimes you find a collection that's friggin' banging and they don't want very much money for it, or like it's an awesome deal and it ends up being all mint or stuff like that. But
speaking of scoring on deals, man, what do you think about just the market and all the good prices there are right now? Because I saw you picked up the Blaziken EX, right? You picked up recently. Do you have that close by?
Half price, maybe better than what it's been selling for.
Yeah. Do you have that close by?
I don't know. It's still in my PWCC vault.
Oh.
I thought I would never use a vault, but I found a use for it. It's just the fact that I can ship everything at once.
Yeah. No, there's just been so many like good deals. I've been picking them out slowly right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people are into
Auctions have been banging. I mean, there's too much to focus on. So like, there's always a good deal. Even in the pandemic, there was always a good deal. It might have been just you had more competition on people that were looking at everything. So
True.
like, I don't know. I always tell people not to like chase the same thing that everyone's chasing. I think that's the key. That's like the best thing you can ever do for yourself in Pokemon if you're trying to like get the most bang for your buck, is just if there's a new flashy thing that everyone wants at the time, just look in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff, yes, it'll go up in price later, but like 99% of it is gonna drop later when people avert their attention to something else.
Yeah. Cyril Lewis, appreciate the 5 gifted memberships, man. You're killing it tonight. I appreciate you, bud. But speaking of things dropping, what do you think of Pikachu and the Gray Felt Hat promo? You think with them being released now in the Netherlands, do you think that the beginning of the end of that card? Or do you think?
I don't know if that'll do all that much to it. It'll probably stunt the climb a little bit, but also that's one of those things where that is something that I would not touch. That is in the prime for being more printed area, and that the Pokemon Company loves to throw curveballs, and that is a curveball that I kind of see coming. That like it would not surprise me if they just like toss some more up on Pokemon Center or something like that. Like it was a botched release. It wasn't available long enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't available basically at all initially,
yeah.
and then it wasn't available for more than an hour and a half or something like that. So like it wouldn't surprise me if they restocked that and did like another big pump of that.
Did you ever pick up any of the Van Gogh merch, or were you not able to get any?
I got some sleeves, but I did not buy them personally. They were a gift from.
Which ones? Which sleeves?
The birds. The bird sleeves.
With the Cramorants?
Or Cramorants? What does it have, like,
Was it Cramorants?
It has the crows on it, I think.
Oh, the crows. Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's multiple, but I don't know if it was themed after the bird ability and the TCG, or if it was just the hunch crows and stuff.
Yeah. It was crazy how fast all that stuff sold out. It was... It didn't feel good during it, too, because I was pretty active. I was ready for that drop, and it just did not feel good.
No, and I mean, that whole website is just... I don't know what they need to do. I mean, clearly they need to upgrade the website. They need to do pre-orders, I think, on a lot of that stuff.
The birds are Corviknights inspired.
And where they don't charge until the stuff is coming out too. So it's weird that they don't as long as, man, sleeves and stuff like that, or like the merch for that might be very hard to do so. But a lot of that stuff, I feel like they could probably even pre-order at the point that they're producing it to know if they need to produce more.
Yeah.
Because they're not charging you right away. So if they're only going to charge you when it comes out, you can cancel it, but at least they get a pretty good grasp of like how much they need. That was botched. That was entirely botched. That was like the scalper bot paradise.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. But all
And I
right.
don't like to say scalper because I don't give a shit if people resell stuff. But like people have to have the opportunity to at least buy it when it releases.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing too. And not only do they need to be able to buy it, they have to be able to like click on the item. Like you can't just click on the item and says
Mm.
this is sold out. You know, it wasn't even on
Yeah.
the website, so
Yeah,
it's a
no
bad
linking
look.
to the website.
But it
The
shows you
whole
what the
thing was
true demand for Pokemon. When Pokemon like makes really good items, it shows you like the demand that is Pokemon. People will come out of the woodwork to get this
mm.
stuff. So
Some of that is that, but some of it is also like the resellers are hungry.
yeah,
Like they're hungry for that 2021 stonk dog item that they can buy and it's just gonna go up or they can immediately flip it.
sure,
Like it's not there anymore. The vast majority of things you buy it when it comes out, it doesn't go up. And that's normal, but it's not sexy. It's not stonk dog friendly, but that's how it's kind of meant to be. And that's the thing too, is like the when people aren't talking about like buying stuff, it's probably like the best time to have some of that stuff.
Are you in the? I called it on one of my videos. I called it. Pokemon's in the acquisition phase right now, where now's the time to acquire stuff. Do you feel like you're in that phase a little bit, where you're just acquiring stuff,
Um,
or are you still
yeah,
holding
for the
off?
most part. For the most part, I'm mostly looking for like, I mean, always even during like pandemic kind of stuff, kind of focused in on modern, opened way too many packs, but but looking at stuff like mostly comfort point is like if I go look at the prices back before the pandemic and I can get something that's right in around there, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling pretty confident about that purchase that I'm not gonna be like shit it just cut in half, that kind of thing, because everything was pretty stable up until that point and then like you had a lot of it skyrocket. But
Zardlurkin
yeah.
92 says, "Is this podcast going to be a weekly or monthly podcast like last time?" It's going to be a monthly podcast, so it's probably going to be the end of every month, and we're going to have for the first podcast, it's just going to be me and Rattle, but in the future we'll probably have like a third rotating guest host, and then any times we don't have that guest host, it'll just be the two of us. But I'm looking forward to this, Rattle. This is something that's definitely been missing in my life. And the last time I kind of saw you on a live stream was the Basic Trainer 24-hour live stream. And I think
Oh yeah.
did that
But God, I was supposed to hop in there. I was like, man, I'm tired. I'm gonna hop in here for a quick visit, and then I was on there way too long.
did it give you the
Or
itch
not as long
again?
as him, but yeah. Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun for sure. Shoot the shit.
To be honest with you, I'm just getting to the point where I just only really enjoy long form now. I don't know why. It's just
Long
because
form stuff. Yeah.
because long form just there's really no questions at the end of long form. Like you're able to talk out all your thoughts where when you're trying to pump out that 10, 15, 20 minute long video, like so much stuff gets lost because you're just trying to like get those points in, but you can't expand on them at all. Or at least there's no back and forth too with short form content.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely ups and downs to
Yeah.
one or the other. I even when I plan on making something short, I'm always like finding myself adding extra details in. Even if I kind of plan out what I'm gonna say, I'm always just like I'll tack some stuff on because I'm like, oh yeah, I should really mention this and this and this, but I don't know. It comes with it. If people want TikTok style videos, then there's always that. Someone can make a TikTok about whatever the hell I spend an hour
Yeah.
dissecting.
Yeah. But yeah, if you guys out there don't know or you haven't heard it in my voice, I'm actually kind of sick today. I was sick last Friday. I was sick with the flu today. I took like 2 naps before this podcast in order to push through. So I warned Rattle before we went live. I said, Rattle, this is probably going to be like a 2 hour or less podcast because I am struggling. And if you guys haven't noticed, I drank this whole half a bottle of ginger ale this
Ryan Ginger.
because I am hurting, man. I don't know. My wife was sick. My kids are sick. Everybody's sick.
Yeah, I had something nasty, I guess, in recent times, but and it just wouldn't go away.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
brutal.
awful cough and
Yeah, but no, Rattle. I'm happy that the podcast is back, buddy. It's definitely something that's been missing in my life the last couple months. So, and it was 8 months ago. Now, we're gonna talk more in the future. I know you got plans to potentially go to Hawaii. I think you said you were thinking about it, and it doesn't sound like you're gonna do any collecticons this year, but we'll probably maybe be able to see each other this year too in person. Maybe we'll do a podcast live in person.
that'd be pretty sick.
Do you have
We
any
got
plans for events, or you don't know yet?
nothing solid yet. I
Just the
guess
maybe.
priority would be on the worlds thing. Would be pretty cool to do. But other than that, I haven't solidified any trips or anything like that.
Any sign-in events going
It could
on
change.
in Canada? Because I know you went to the Rita
Not
sign-in, right? And you got some
yeah,
Malwall signed.
not that I've heard of. It is a little bit easier for me to travel to like Toronto than it is into the States. It's kind of it's a lot, but I mean also just to take time away from everything else, and then also the expenses of traveling and hotel and all that stuff is
Oh yeah,
it's gotta be something special. It's gotta be something special to warrant the trip, basically.
yeah. Uh, I see Gary in the chat. Gary said Fawn says hi. So Fawn, I think that's how you say your name. Good to see you, Gary, though. But yeah, man, Rattle, it's fun. I'm looking forward to this. I wish I didn't feel like absolute dog shit today, but I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to the podcast in the future. And I know we had a guest that we had planned for today, but it ended up not working out. So maybe that guest will be on next month. So yeah, I think dude.
If
I think
not,
we could do big things with
we'll
this.
find people that'll hang out with us. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I think we could do big things with the podcast because it's nice. I think one of the things I enjoyed most about our podcast was a lot of the people that joined were people that you didn't really ever hear them talk in that long form content, you know? So to be able to see the real person, I think that's really important. Like you can only talk for so long on a
Yeah.
live before your true colors are going to come out. So I think that was something
Yeah,
special.
that and yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's an authentic way, I guess, to see people that maybe you don't necessarily, whether you see them talk or even if they are like making videos or anything like that, it's completely different.
Yeah, definitely. But I know I could speak for myself. I know I could speak for Mr. Rattle Pokemon over there, guys. We appreciate every single one of you. For all the people that joined, all the super chats, all the new channel members, appreciate every single one of you. And we'll see you guys next month.
Later.